So again, all the sessions will be recorded so everybody can watch them at the convenient time. And right now, I'd like to share my screen to show you how Teams operate. I hope all of you have successfully logged in to the Teams. And just basic things which I would like to share, how we will use this platform for studies. So you all have this innovation strategy module. And here in folder general, you can find some posts, and as well in the files here above on the top, you can find two documents. One of the list of the participants, so all of you, and the syllabus of the whole program. And as well, if you would go to each of the session, you will find all the materials related to that session only, which means in session number 1, you have some chats or some useful information which are shared by the participants or the professor. As well, here you can see the recorded video from the first session. And in files, you have the pre-readings, which were supposed to be read before the session, and as well the handouts. It's a PowerPoint used by the professor. We will usually upload that after the session, so it's a final version, so you can find it after each session. So regarding the session number 2, it's the same. Here you can go to the files. This is the pre-reading material, which was supposed to be read before today. And after that session here in the files, you will find the PowerPoint, which will be used by the professor today. And as well in the posts, you can find the recorded session of today later, and as well some messages from the professor to you. If it happens that you don't see all the sessions like I do have like that, so you can click to the hidden information because it will be hidden sessions. So they're not hidden, but automatically sometimes they are put this way. So if you would press to that hidden information and on the right corner, press show, you will see the same as I do see right now. Here you can make a hide. So sometimes you'll have hidden channels like this. So if you press this hidden channel, here you'll see the list, and then you can unhide it. Show, you can press show, and then it will appear like this as a session number 10. And as well as from now on, you will have some group work as well. I'd like to show you one feature which I believe will be valuable as well to know if you would like to use it. So you can add an extra channel for your group only. So then you can chit chat, share the messages, share the information, the documents, which will be visible only for your group members, which you will add. So how to do that? So you should add channel. Okay, from the beginning, if you didn't notice. Here you go to innovation strategy, 3 dots, then you press add channel, then you name channel the way you want. Let's say group 1, artificial intelligence, if it would be the topic you choose, for instance. And then make not a standard, but private. If you put private, that means it will be accessible only for the people you would add. So not even me, I won't see the content. So it's only your group members who you will add. So you write the name, then put the private, and then the channel will be adding. And here you can add your group mates. For instance, I would like to add Jurgita Reshitkiene and Renata, who I'll be working with. So I'll just type their names, and then emails and all the logins will appear automatically. So once you set all the team in here, press add, and then you have a private group, which will be visible only for those people who are here. So group 1, artificial intelligence. So it's only 3 of us who will see this contact. So you can or arrange everything for your groups if you would like to. And here you can see this locked sign, which shows that this is a private group and nobody else except the people you connect will be added and could see the content. As well, you can manage members. Here you can add extra members and you can add the teacher if you would like to. So that shortly, do you have any questions regarding the Teams platform? Any kind of questions?
I suppose we don't have a right to create the channels.
You don't have the right. Did you just?
Yes, we just can to add member, but not the channel.
We need to, yeah, the only owner has this possibility.
I see. So if you would like, I can create this channel for you, for the group,
Yeah.
and I can, because I know who is in which group, so I can add the channels for you, so we have this private area to work.
Yes, maybe it's a solution to create a channel for each and every group, I guess.
Okay, so we'll do that
Good.
right after the session, so you'll have it after.
Mhm.
Very convenient to have just one window to work with this program. So you don't need to create any other sources, any other channels, any other tools. So it will be just one who you could mobilize fully for your study efficiency. So, okay, agreed. After that, I'll create for all 6 groups the separate channels so you can use it for your teamwork. And I was notified that Carlos, Carlos, you're already here.
Yes, I'm sorry. I had some technical issues.
Okay.
The people there was a construction nearby, and I have to log in using my cell phone because the internet was basically, the cable was torn down.
Oh, wow.
Great.
I'm very happy.
Sorry.
It's fine.
I'm sorry for that. Yes, I'm sorry for that, guys. How are you? How is everyone? Good, more or less. Yes, good. That's good. Happy for that.
Good.
I hope you had did you enjoy the Elon Musk case?
Yeah.
Now we're gonna discuss it. That's gonna be, now lots of reading. Oh, you don't have, Andrews, you don't know half of it yet. It can get worse.
Like
No, but
from Simpsons, yeah, excellent.
oh, by the way, can you, Diana, or someone give me some privileges, I like to share my screen, for instance, or,
Yes,
or
I'll
allow
do-
everyone to share screens, or make me host or co-host. Good,
I
thank you
just made
very
you a
much.
co-host. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. Now let's see whether this thing works today. Does it work or still does not working?
It works.
It works? Great. This is much fun. You don't have to be like jumping from side to side. So guys, first thing, our learning path. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. We are still like right here, and we are moving into the, we're moving into the managing under uncertainty and complexity. I'm sorry, guys, those of you who already have been my students, you have to repeat some of the dishes in this menu, right? But it will serve as refreshments. Now, one thing that some of you left before we analyze this, so for those of you who left before the session ended, I didn't go over this topic just because you were not there. So you know how much do we like you, right? We didn't go over it. Do you know King Price Insurance? No. So King Price Insurance is a new insurance, kind of new. They were founded in 2012 in South Africa. And by 2000, by now, it's like in the fight for being from the 3rd to the 2nd largest insurance company in South Africa, and now one of the top 4 in Africa, like in, I don't know, 9 years. This is a case of disruption. And how do they work? For instance, we own cars, right? We don't use cars anymore now because even though we have been unable to go out, but what these guys did was pretty smart. They went and they used remember that we talked about disruptive innovation yesterday? They used the disruptive innovation approach to create a super successful business in less than a decade. What did they do? Living in South Africa, 45% of South Africans live below poverty. And one of the things they had is that they have their cars, right? And cars insurance are used to basically do the following. You pay a premium over all different months. And for most people, that premium is fixed. I don't know, 40 euros, 20 euros a month, depending on how much do you pay for car insurance? Any one of you? Anyone?
500, 600 per year.
600 per year.
Yeah.
Same. Like, so basically 600 per year is like 50 a month, right?
Something like this.
Okay. And the value of your car, how does it change?
It goes down each year.
But the insurance keeps the same. But these
Bingo.
guys did was the following.
It
They
should be.
went and looked to the bottom of the pyramid, that people could not afford to pay that. And they said, wouldn't it be logical that if the value of Raimundo's cars goes down, the amount of money he pays for insurance should go down as well? And everyone said to these guys, you know, you are crazy. That model is never going to work. But they did that. They created a program for which a lot of people with little money would pay the same regarding to the value of their car through time. And that's one of the smart things. Second thing, in the time of fintech and, you know, digital thingy and yada yada, what they did was low tech for the customers. Because if you're working with the bottom of the pyramid, most people won't have the technical sophistication to use apps and that stuff. So what they did was to create something that was very sophisticated in the back office, predictive analytics, artificial intelligence in back office, but the relationship with customers was very low tech. That is a disruption. Now, in this case is a very interesting case in which we ask ourselves, where is the value being created? So one of the things is that in order to take in this case as an example is that first, not all digital transformation is disruptive. But when you do innovation-driven digital transformation, you can have disruptive potential. What was the innovation here? Let's use the disrupting innovation approach. Remember, there were 3 things that needed to be done in order to create disruptive innovation. 1, a commodity, car insurance. 2nd, high prices. 3rd, untapped bottom of, or an untapped low segment of the market. So with those 3, if you go down to the bottom of the market and you try to realize how to serve them in the best possible way first, and then you think about the technology, you're able to generate this type of things. And this can be done in any type of industry. Any questions? So given that today we didn't have our knowledge management, I will do it. There is a second thing that we want to discuss about this case very rapidly. Is something called the job to be done. Have you heard about this concept of the job to be done before? Someone? No one? Okay. We'll go in depth into this topic in a few more sessions, but think about the following. For doing innovation, we have to fulfill for whatever project 3 types of needs: the functional needs, emotional needs, and social needs. Most projects fail because they focus on the functional needs, not on the social or the emotional needs. So I'm going to give you an example. Men of this class, how many pairs of shoes do you have?
A
How
lot.
many? A lot? Okay, what is a lot?
I don't know. I just like
Why
shoes.
Sorry?
I just like shoes, and that's all.
But let's see. Okay, let's. By
Maybe the
raising
right
hands-
question could sound like how many shoes do I use every day or every week? So I
No,
should
like,
say
give me-
around
there-
3 or
there's-
4, I guess.
But let me say, those of you guys who are with the camera off, I need you to put your cameras on, just because we're gonna raise our hands here and see something. So, men, how many of you have less than 10 pairs of shoes? Own. No, do not consider tennis or sports shoes, right? Just shoes. Less than 10 pairs. Oh, there's a lot of hands. Between 10, no, between 10 and 20 pairs of shoes. Between 20 and 30. More than 30? Okay, 1. Without us, we want to see that. And now, women, how many of you own less than 10 pairs of shoes?
I think about 50.
Women, just women.
Let's start
Less
from
than-
50, I guess.
Less than 10, okay? Between 10 and 20. No one. Between 20 and 30. Oh, 3. More than 40 or more than 30. So why do you think is that? Why do you think there is this difference?
So
And I would say, go, Andrews.
what difference is there? I don't see the difference.
What is the difference? What is the meaning of a shoe for a man different? How is that different for the meaning of a shoe for a woman? For instance, guys, do you ever see a shoe and said, oh, I have to have it. I need that shoe?
Nope.
Girls, have you ever seen a shoe, pair of shoes, and you say, man, I need those shoes? Greta saying yes, Yolanda said, maybe a couple of times. Because there is a different meanings. One is functional, right? But then for women, shoes has this thing that they have an emotional meaning, and they also have a social meaning. You use some type of things because you want to show something. You know what I mean? Innovation, those two components, the social and the emotional, are so relevant, so much relevant that it can make someone to pay, I don't know, 1,000 euros for a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes. How many of you girls own a Jimmy Choo? They might own it, but they won't say it. No, I'm kidding. So this is something that is very relevant on the realm of innovation. And this is something that also is relevant with digital transformation. One of the things that we have seen on digital transformation over the years is that the failure of adopting new digital tools sometimes has nothing to do with functionality, but has to do with some emotional, social aspect that people feel threatened. They might feel that they're being vigilated or observed, and they don't want to do something just because, not because they don't find or they don't see the value of it, but sometimes it's because, you know, I don't know how to use it, and many other reasons why. Now, Tuesdays, I'm going to go very fast on this. I'm not going to take the 10 minutes that you're going to take, but on Tuesday, one of the things we saw that first, right, innovation was a management philosophy at the same time that it was a process and also a type of result first. Second, we also saw that you need to manage each one of these three different, by different teams and in different ways. Management philosophy is managed by a group of leaders, a process by people who are doing it, and the type of results by another group of people. Then as a result of this, right, we have these different type of innovations also have different levels of risk and different levels of payback. And it's very good to know which are the levels of payback so we know how much money and time and effort put into them. Also, we need to be aware, and we spoke also on Tuesday, that continuous improvement and tech transfer are not type of innovation, regardless of how they or how new they are for our organization. The newness or the grade of novelty for our organization, it's a mind trick and it's risky, because when you see something very new, you make a lot of expectations about it. We have to look, regardless of how new is for us, how new is for the market. Remember that. Also, now there's at least 7 types of leadership styles, and the ones we need for innovation are the least common. So if we want to go into this, we need to start changing ourselves first. Then that disruption has little thing to do with novelty, how new something is, but has much to do with market surprise and impact. And in that market surprise is where we wanna put our effort, looking down, not looking to the people who can pay big bucks, because there is a very few, or at least we have seen none case of disruptive innovation that has been achieved by tapping into the high end of the market. Now, we talk about impact. Remember this, the average return on investment on innovation is 440%. And we don't need to risk a hard, we don't need to go in super moonshot bets to get that. It's just the basic, right? On average, that's composed by very bad projects and a very few specific, very good projects. And if we like to talk about innovation, choosing the right process, we'd like to help you go and implement it. And finally, that innovation and digital transformation were close cousins. Remember that? There are a lot of variables trying to tap into that actually work for both. So is there anything else you would like to talk about Tuesday before moving into managing under uncertainty and risk and ambiguity? Something that kept going into your minds, some idea you have, some reflection?
I think it was a big influence from the innovation compared to the digital transformation. There was more impact if you used innovation together with digital transformation.
And the reason why, what Marx, we're going to talk about Elon Musk's case today, is that the timing for digital transformation began in 1995, when the National Science Foundation and DARPA, the Defense Department for Research in the US, they took the internet, right, and they made it public. And then 95, 96, a lot of different companies start to use a new technology to change the way we work and do things. In between 95 and 2005, going to what you're saying, Mark, innovation and digital transformation were the same thing. Amazon was born there, right? There's a lot of different companies that were born there, and they were actually the same thing. So the same principles were based in both cases. Now, a lot of companies were failing and were, going bankrupt. And by the end of the 90s, because of the Silicon Valley bubble. And that is where the principles of digital transformation and innovation, they were born in that time. How some of you are wise and old enough to remember something called the re-engineering of the corporation. How many of you remember that? Right, and the re-engineering of the corporation and digital transformation, if you see the principles, are the same principles. One thing is different: the power of the technology we're using to achieve it. Nowadays, the power of the technology is the one that people who are, talking about re-engineering of the corporation wanted to have by the end of the 2000s. If they had had that technology at that time, we wouldn't be talking about digital transformation today. But if you see side to side, they're pretty much the same. Something else, someone else would like to
I would
comment
like
or-
to add that main takeaway from me from the last session was that complexity is the bigger problem than the risk itself, and I'm facing that each day in my companies to manage complexity, not the risk.
And one of the things we're gonna do today is I'm gonna give you a homework. Well, I'm gonna give you a couple of tasks, but one homework is gonna be to answer a survey on determinants on organizational performance for innovation that gonna give you a picture of the level of complexity. All of you guys who already have been my students, if you wanna take that again, now with everything you know, it'd be even more exigent on your answers. Do so. I'm gonna give you the answer when I can discuss this, and you can compare that today's answers to the previous answers you have gotten. Now, oh, I forgot to take the, I'm sorry, to take the animation out of this. Now we're moving into this, right? Managing under uncertainty and complexity. And I have a question for you before we go into this. And it's very good that, Marius, you mentioned that, or you share that topic. Every time, question for you, every time you ask some of your people that worked for you, some of your teammates, and you give them a job that you expect them to do because of, they have the capabilities to do it. I'm gonna share different types of situations here. What we have here is the following. We have the ability of managing under uncertainty, risk, and ambiguity, the degree to which people can handle the same level of ambiguity, risk, and uncertainty, and the quality of results. I'm going to show you some cases, and would like you to write on the chat or raise your hand as I'm telling this, right? So when you give your teams something to do, by the same level of uncertainty, right? There's different things that happen. Team number one, you give them some job and they do nothing for a while because uncertainty is too low. So they paralyze themselves and do nothing. How many of you have people like this? Okay. Second, you give them the job, they go back. So they go to their offices, and a couple of days or a moment later, they come and ask for clarifications. How many of you? Much more. Now, you give them the job, they go back, they start working, they create some few alternatives, and then come for clarification after the alternatives has been created. Okay. Now, they go back, they create some alternatives, they put and test some of them, yeah, and they go back to get feedback from you after they have created the alternative and test some of them, experiment with some of them. How many? A little bit of less hands. Now, they go, they create alternatives, they test them, and they refine, they go through different rounds of experimentation, and then they go back to you and say, we did this, we experimented with this, we refined this, and I think things are around here. How many? Oh, no. Now, they do the same, but they go and say, now we created this amount of alternatives, we discarded all of them, and we have 3, and okay, these are the 3. Which should you choose? No? 1. Roberta's. And the final is the guy who do that, they make the decisions and they go and say, now, boss, we need money. We chose this one, I think this is the great, but this is above our pay grade. We need the resources to implement that. Good. What are the, if you have to hire someone, you will hire people in which of these situations? In 7, right? I mean, the amount of time that takes out of your shoulder is good. But in order to do that, you need to be able to trust people, right? To trust on their capabilities and be sure that the quality of work they can do is good. Now, this is something, guys, question for you. How many of you have declared and decided to hire people smarter than you to work with you? That is part of the thing. If you decide for hiring people that is smarter than you, it's one thing. Second thing is smart people with the right attitude, with tolerance or have a high disposition to tolerate risk. I saw that some of you already completed the test. Those tests has to do with this. And what we're going to talk today also have to do with this. Now, before that, I always show this to my students. I really like that. Dilbert on managing uncertainty. Please go and read it. I need description of your project and projected costs. That's impossible. The project uncertainty principle says that if you understand a project, you won't know its cost, and vice versa. And what is this guy telling us here? If you understand the project, you won't understand the cost. What is behind this sentence? So, put it this way. Think of a very important project you had to run. One of the most challenges you have. Now we will use the chat box. And think about this. How many assumptions and hypotheses that project had? More or less. Who wants to play with me? Let's play together. Who wants to play with me? 55 marks. Good. Who else? 30. Get this. 10, 7, 10, minus 5. Okay. 20. Good. Very, very good. Now, let's say 10.5. Okay, Silvina, you have to go and explain that 10.5, man, because I mean, that's what is 10.5?
It's out of the box, everyone just clear number.
Okay,
right?
oh, good. Now, let's go with some of you guys on the lower end. Let's say, I don't know. Let's go with Silvina's 10.5. That project, if you're gonna, can you speak a little bit about the project? Or it's classified, you have to kill us after.
I don't know if I can kill everyone, but I try to.
So how many alternatives or scenarios for that project did you have?
In the beginning, in the middle, or in the near the finished? In which point?
Let's go in the beginning.
In the beginning, about 7.
7.
Yes.
Now, this is something that is critical to first to innovation and second to managing under uncertainty. Let's assume for a moment that that each assumption, right? We're going to discuss this later with detail, but that each assumption has 3 main potential states or hypotheses. 1, if it doesn't hold, it just bothers the project, but doesn't harm it. Second, if it doesn't hold, the assumption or hypothesis, is harms the project, but doesn't kill it. Or third, if the assumption doesn't hold, kills the project, right? Now, with 10.5 assumptions, how many scenarios do you think we would have at the beginning?
At the beginning,
Yes.
you know, every time
Go.
it's very hard to explain everything, and you know, in all scenarios are quite simple, quite familiar to each other, and you know, in the first of all, it will be a lot of. I don't have a counter.
A lot.
Because,
like,
yeah.
give me an order of
There's
magnitude.
no number,
of a
you
lot.
know, because first thoughts. Every time first thoughts are trying to touch everyone, for example, in the team, and know everyone would have his own decision, his own opinion, and he wants to be right, for example, in the hypothesis, yeah? And so I think so. How many? Okay, I'm done.
59,049, and now I'm not using the 0.5 there. I'm just using the 10, right?
Okay.
And why is that? I mean, remember when yesterday we saw that white star?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have the illusion of simplicity because our brain cannot handle many problems. We cannot handle more than 6, 7, 8 problems. But when you have 10 assumptions, first, one of the first things that happened, that's what I was paying attention. I didn't pick on what Mark was saying. Well, some of you said 50 assumptions at least, or 70, because problems or big projects, difficult projects, they usually are in the hundreds of assumptions or hypotheses. When we say 10, 5, whatever, we try to simplify things. Now, the 80-20 rule for innovation doesn't work because we're going into the unknown. And also, when you do this work, of saying how many assumptions do we have, and these 3 stages, the formula to calculate the possible scenarios is 3 raised to the number of assumptions, right? That's the formula. And the idea that it gives you a sense of the level of dispersion and the job we need to do. And there was one Nobel laureate, Herbert Simon, that used to say that the problem, or one of the problems with the execution of new projects, innovation project, has to do with the tendency of people, we leaders, decision makers, to downsize or diminish the complexity of the problem we had in front of us. And this is something that is relevant to the ways in which we can think strategically. We need to be able to look forward, but reason back, and try to, look forward and see, if we want to achieve this, how should we do this? But in the terms of want to achieve this, not in terms of the idea we have, but in terms of the challenge we have. The best engineering innovation challenge posed in the history has been the one that President Kennedy gave to NASA and say, before the end of the decade is out, we want to put a man on the moon and bring it back safely. He didn't say how. Then there was a lot of work and going back and forth in terms of trying to find out how you reverse that thing and generate alternatives to do that. One. Second, you want to do big bets. That's good, but without betting the whole company. You need to be able to be bold and ambitious, but not reckless. So we know the payback is super high. We know that, right? But then we need to be able to manage that in the best possible way. Good way of doing it, let's build platforms, an ecosystem, not just products. So usually, good platforms allows for better product creation, allows for multiple things to happen. You want to exploit and leverage power. And here is mastering the tactics of judo and sumo. And given that we're going to talk a little bit now about our friend Elon Musk, I don't know if you know, but last week, the major competitor of Tesla, I think the name is NOI, they reached 100,000 cars produced and sold, I think. Did you heard that on the news? No? And Musk took that milestone into his advantage with one tweet. This company made a press release and Musk tweeted, "Congratulations, guys. This is a very difficult milestone." And all the different newspapers decided to give space to Musk, say, "Oh, look what a good competitor he is." But he was saying, "Hey guys, we know about this thing. Good for you." But then he took the spotlight away from the company. That's judo. Exploit and leverage power. You have power. Let's go and exploit it. And finally, shape the organization around your personal anchors. What are the personal strengths you have? What are the competitive advantages that you can? How can you use your own personal, how do you say, assets to leverage what your company is doing? These are 5 things that we are going to be talking during the rest of this course. There is here a comment, I think. Mark said, future of the dairy industry, Tetra Pak study, 124 factors will influence the coming 10 years, 12 cluster, 3 key trends. So imagine the level of complexity there. Mark, you want to go and deep dive on that?
No, it's just to illustrate that everything you said, I found in my industry, and I found the Tetra Pak result very interesting on itself, but they created 4 scenario based on all that. So that's where everything you teach us suddenly became crystal clear. So
Thank you. So now we will do the following, guys. Let's talk about this guy. So here you have the 4 questions, right? You read the papers, but now there's 2 things we could do. We could split for 20 minutes as a team, or we can give 5 minutes for you to get a coffee, be back, and then split as a team. Coffee time, second? Okay, so we will do the following. Jurgita, are you there? Yes. Do we have the teams created?
Yes.
I don't know who. Oh, Renata, you were the, okay, thank you. So let's do this following. Let's open the team room so you can go into the teams anyway. And we will, instead of giving you 20 minutes to talk about the question, we're going to give you 25 minutes. Okay, so we're going to meet here in 25 more minutes. The idea would be that each team goes through this, discuss, and prepare answers for this. So because we're going to be going and talking about this and then open and create among all of us the answers for this case. Okay? Okay, let's open the doors, Renata, of the rooms. Thank you. And let's go for first a 5-minute coffee thingy and then 20 minutes working teams. Long, I will start writing, and as a result, we will have co-developed answer to the survey. Let's put this here. So can you read? Is it readable for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Or if you want, I can make myself smaller, tinier. Go here and maybe increase the size of this. So, okay. So what would you have done? Would have you supported or opposed the Tesla's acquisition of Solar City? Who is about supporting? Not many. And opposing? Okay, now those who are in favor of acquisition, why would you have supported it?
Sustainable business
but
model.
I have good argument, why I would support. So my argument would be that being a shareholder in 2 listed companies, and in SolarCity he was much bigger shareholder than in Tesla. So you cannot focus. So why I would support, so that let's focus on one thing. So on one company, merge those 2 companies, and they have something in common. So I'm against, because financially I think it's bad deal, but maybe to get Elon Musk focus on one big thing, maybe it pays off.
So you think that maybe you have an overlap in some customer base that would allow you to manage this in better ways, something like it?
So overlap I don't like personally. So for me, it's focus of Elon Musk. So decreasing, that he doesn't have to worry how to get money for SolarCity, doesn't have to lend from Tesla, which, decreasing, things for him to worry about, solving some conflicts of interest and.
Okay. What else?
In our team, we discussed that Elon Musk should go big or die. So that was the decision. We discussed that Elon Musk should bet big, to buy the best company with a large market share, and that's what he did. And another one idea that you discussed previously regarding this overlapping of
in customer base, yes.
Yeah, in customer base, yeah. This is, from my perspective, looks like good argument why it should be both.
And what about the solar systems financial health, for instance? Marius, why are you laughing?
Our group voted against, because when I saw arguments for, it was more based, as others says, on Elon Musk, belief in Elon Musk, but not in figures or financial situation. Personally, we thought that there is no value to join companies, no added value to join companies. It was made more to not let this trust problem evolve. Then solar system city will go down, and this trust on Elon Musk companies will evolve to other companies, and it's probably
so basically you don't believe it. It's very messy. If it weren't like other people like John Doe, you won't go for it.
No.
Okay. Now, there is one thing that you haven't mentioned though, but what was the projected revenue for the next 20 years of the merger?
$2.8 billion.
For what? Because there was a
total equity value.
So you have a projected, oops, my typing. Of 2.8 point, right? Oh, I'm clumsy today. Sorry. Now, arguments against. So one thing is what you said, Marius, right? If you had another people doing this, another guy, not Musk, the people won't, you would say, oh no, I won't do it. Okay. What else? What other reason we have for not supporting this acquisition?
For me, it destroys value. You just overpaying, you know.
Okay. Overpaying.
Yeah, the cost of
Okay.
sales and administration were too high. 42% bigger than the revenue.
Okay.
So you need a financing solution.
And what other reasons do we have not to move forward? Something beyond money.
Yeah, this is what we discussed basically in our group. So this is we thought that this is really Elon Musk saving his money, not to lose the company. And it's we know the history of the company, its relatives. So there is a quite personal interest.
So basically, you said this is more of a personal thing than a financial thing. Is that?
Yeah.
So it's basically follows a personal, let's put it, hobby, like a personal interest, rather.
But also the money, because maybe he was saving a company from the bankruptcy.
Okay. Now, yeah, because I mean, Solar City, the debt of Solar City was not necessarily low, right? So we have here that Solar City was, you would say, struggling somehow. We have, I think, was 5 billion in debt. Now, why is that with this type of solution, you would like to go into it? With this type of, sorry, of financial situation, someone would like to go into it?
We discussed a lot about the long-term sustainability project.
Okay, go ahead. What about the long-term sustainability?
Solar power between atomic power, yeah, the batteries, and between the fuel. So I think so. This is one of the strategies. What you want to leave behind him, not for 10 years, but maybe 500 years.
Sarunas?
Well, in our group, we discussed about, that in order not to be treated as automotive company and not to be measured in comparison to any other automotive companies, so you have to go big. You have to change, scope. So this all gigafactory in Solar City and all other arguments are, to do that.
We're gonna talk about that issue in this third question, and this is good. But let's try to finish this, and then we move to the second one. Mark. So Sarunas, keep your comment, because a couple of more slides, that's going to be the focus.
All right.
Mark?
Well, in favor, it was the panels were 30% more efficient, and the efficiency gains brought down the kilowatt at $2.50 instead of $4. So the business model was another point where they could have the installation for free and then get paid on a monthly fee afterwards. So, and that is going to generate another 150 million. So that was not taken into the numbers.
Now, another question. What do you think about this? This Tesla people did the right move into getting into the Gigafactory or not? Who among you said yes, it was good? Who say no? The rest, right? Now, what are the arguments for in favor of this Gigafactory deal? Why do you think this is something that it would be good?
For me, it's the one of the competitive advantages, you know, against other market entrants, and as well, you know, if you want to become market leader, so you need to do something big, and if you do this big step, people believe that you will be successful, and then you are successful because people believe that you are doing this.
But where would be the competitive advantage for Tesla in owning the Gigafactory?
So basically,
driving the cost of the battery down.
Enough batteries at competitive price, and most likely you can improve the technology, you know, when you are producing, you know, big amounts of those.
But the thing is securing battery supply, right?
Yes.
And this is something that it's critical. Like in every business, you have some components that are key components. You cannot live without them. You must have them in order to go and fulfill. We're going to talk a little bit about this today. You have a key component, you have a key activity that if that dies, you're doomed. Take, for example, Apple. And remember that earthquake in Japan a few years ago? That earthquake destroyed one manufacturing facility of the chips that iPhones use. And for quite a few months, Apple had to reduce their production of iPhones because there was no supply for that critical component. Now, IKEA, for instance, IKEA has a very specific way to integrate all the work with, you know, owning some forests, so they can be totally sure they will have access to wood that is of the right specification, right quality for what they want to do. How many of you have, for instance, some specific key critical component or service or sub-service or sub-component that if you lose supply, you are in big trouble? So when we have that type of case, we need to think not in terms of buying or creating a new manufacturing facility, but we need to think what could happen if, and generate mitigation plans. So that's, I wanted to make a point on this. So what else? What other reason for the Gigafactory?
We discussed that instead of decentralization as others do, this mass economy in one place could have a better effect. But I think others also
the economy is the scale economy, right? Economies of scale here are pretty huge. The economies of scale represent roughly about what they say, roughly 30% decrease in down cost.
I just want to add maybe to Marius. I think the brilliant idea of Elon Musk was to start implementing a vertical model of a business. So this Gigafactory, it was part of this model.
One thing we will discuss later today, later in other classes, is that there is a clock speed in all industries. First, vertical integration, then disaggregation. And every industry goes into this clock speed thing. We're going to discuss that later because it has to do with something about innovation that is also relevant. Now, guys, those of you who did not like the Gigafactory deal, why not? What are the arguments against?
Well, in our group, we voted for that, but actually one of the major arguments against that is that all the gigafactory is based on one technology, which is actually quite new, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible to find something newer. So actually you're betting big on a technology that can easily be obsolete in a couple of years as soon as some inventions are done in a battery segment.
It's a good point. I mean, why build something that you can have a lot of different people, and also because batteries are kind of commodity, one, and second is that I mean, I can bet China will begin producing this very rapidly, as you said. What else?
Huge investment.
Huge investment, right?
Very huge.
We have huge money. And maybe here we are talking about 3 billion, like too huge. So what are we doing here? Now we talked about vertical integration, but there's a downside with that. How many of you thought that, you know, we don't need to go into a completely different business? We are building cars, not building batteries. Why? Why is that? How many of you thought that there was also a reason to a no? Only myself.
Yeah, yes, I think that for me, Tesla is about not the batteries, but about self-driving cars. Yes, potentially, everybody expects something about that. So Tesla is a car company, not a battery company, and self-driving car probably.
Yes, and one of the things in GitHub that lead us to the next question. How about Tesla being an automotive company? Do you think that, how many of you think they are building a sustainable business model? And how many of you think that, you know, there are many reasons to worry about what's going on? Who thinks that Tesla is building a sustainable business model? Oh man, and all of you and the rest, all of you think there are reasons to worry? How many of you think there are reasons to worry? Okay, that's gonna be fun. So guys, those of you who think that Tesla is the next big thing and, you know, they are great, why do you think that? What are the reasons for you to think about this?
At least in our group, majority voted for Tesla future like a sustainable energy, or at least battery, but not automotive company. So because we did not discuss that more, but I think even Volkswagen, when announced their plans, it's very clear that future for automotive cars will be commodity, but not something special.
So in the future, electric cars are commodity.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, Volkswagen now becomes Volkswagen, right? Andrews?
As far as I know, let's say market is waiting for what's called 1 million mile battery. And Tesla is willing to make own battery, which will be better than any other battery. So, and Musk has bought, I guess, a startup in Canada, which is working directly on this technology. So as soon as they will have this 1 million mile battery, I think it will be difficult to catch up for Volkswagen or anybody else. So.
Who else?
Well,
something else?
Yeah, so, you know, automotive industry is actually quite old and they're quite experienced. So Tesla, to catch up with the actual technologies of the automotive, it's really would be really hard. So I think that they're looking for the new ways how to build a vertical company and perhaps become a sustainable energy company rather than being simply automotive.
Okay. So differentiation would help to compete, basically. And in terms of the reasons to worry, one thing I think some of you said beforehand, right with you, Mark, is that the electric vehicle industry is growing very fast. And Tesla opened their intellectual property, allowing this, the rest of the industry just to go and move faster. Mark?
I think lithium battery is an issue in itself. It's not sustainable. The lithium battery is not sustainable.
Oh, go ahead. Lithium. Now, we're talking here about a sustainable business model, right? Not only the sustainability of the thing, but
even then, we have lithium. It is a limited resource.
That's true.
I also where the and it is not aligned with the how would I say? If Tesla wants to be environmentally friendly and this is just not in line with that image.
Okay.
I would like also to make a few words. Even in all our discussions, expectation is about autonomous driving, but not about electric car. This is two separate things. And as other participants will step in automatical driving, they will be like case with Tesla also. Like
So basically, the business is about autonomous vehicles rather than electric vehicles.
Yes.
So someone you wanted to say something additional?
Yeah, I mention maybe two other things. First, it's kind of coming back to the third point on the left-hand side. The automotive industry is old and experienced. There are a lot of companies that can build cars better, faster, and more of them than Tesla. So the competition there might be a bit too fierce. That's one thing. And second thing, coming back to Mark's battery remark, there is another thing. How do we charge those cars? How do we produce electricity actually? And where does the electricity come from? How is it sustainable? If we look at Europe today, even Germany, there is still quite a lot of electricity produced from coal, produced from gas, natural gas, which is not really that ecological. And second thing, the power grids we have available. I think it was, and Mark, maybe you've heard about it as well. It was a couple of years ago, there was a study they did in Belgium where they evaluated what would have happened if roughly 25 to 30% of personal cars would switch to full electric. Belgian power grid would collapse, wouldn't be able to support that amount of need.
So present a limitation, an active constraint, let's say.
And the investments there in the power grid and the electricity productions are enormous as well. Yeah.
But not only enormous, but also it takes time. I mean, the demand rises can rise much faster than the capacity we have to produce and counter that increase in demand. Now, what would be your advice shooting for the moon, big bet, stay the course, but don't do anything new, or retire for some aspects and scale back. How many of you think shoot for the moon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Mars,
okay.
Mars, not the moon, Mars.
Not okay, Mars. How many of you say staying the course but nothing new? 1, 2, 3. Cautious people. Yes, it's good to be cautious. And how many of you say let's scale back, let's sell some stuff, get back our money, and scale back? Okay. So why shooting for the moon?
I can share discussion in our group. Practically everybody was very emotional to go for the moon, but looks like that nobody would like to invest at least 10,000 euros to SpaceX. So this is interesting question. Looks like that's fully emotional driving, but not financial.
Well, but what would you say then? Where would you go?
Group vote was let's shoot for the moon or Mars. Yes.
And what was the reason for this?
Like as I said, pure emotion.
No, I think that we also believe that if there is one person in the world who can do it, it's him. I think that he has this capacity.
If there is one person who can do it, is Musk, meaning this could be the 21st century version of Apple or GE or something of the like, right? The new Edison or the whatever. That's good.
It's new step of the people evolution, in any case.
A new step in people's
evolution.
Like, okay, that's pretty wild and strong statement. Good, I like that.
I shared in our group as well that I made the reflection that everything he's developing is actually fitting to work on Mars as well, where it's solar energy, where it's electric cars, so whatever he develops is for another planet if needed. So it's not only, it's a planetary thinking, assuming that, well, assume that
he wants to go back.
Bust, you just move to another planet, and he's developing.
He wants to go back home, right?
Yeah,
Mark. He wants to go back
something
home.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Martian. No, for those who said stay the course, what were the reasons for staying the course? There's one major thing I can think of, but I don't know if it's the same as you think.
I a little bit mentioned that. I think his idea to commoditize car market, not to make something a premium or prestige thing, but to commoditize and to make a robot taxis around the globe, going autonomously and taking any person to any destination. This is totally game changing. I think this vision, probably it's still a big vision, but it's a good one. It's game-changing vision.
Okay. Then there is
it's not
something
sustainable to say that the company cannot develop anything new. There are things that will stop and other things that need to be new. So if you want to continue as a business activity, there's always something new that you have to develop.
Personally, I believe that behind that there is another target, is this, how to call it, cosmos mining. There is huge potential for those rare elements outside the planet. So not the people, but resources.
But then that would be an option. That would be something for shooting for the moon, right?
Yes, it's but so then you develop technology, but primary is not to live for persons to go to there, but
okay.
Yeah.
Now, for staying the course, what reasons do we have for staying the course?
Yeah, find an alternative for your lithium battery. I would say. Focus on that.
I miss you, Mark.
Yeah, just focus on the changing the lithium battery.
Okay. Focus on
that will be a scale back, yeah.
Okay. And you would say they basically that get positive cash flows first, right? Get some
Yeah,
payback.
I think that they have invested a lot, so there could be question of the sunk cost. Is it the moment to stop, or you wouldn't really to deliver? Of course, it's always difficult because you don't know in advance, but somehow with the investment, the hopes and everything, where does it get us? Maybe they need now to move more to execution, you know, not only ideas and selling the dream.
Now, finally, those of you who thought, we should scale back, what would you recommend in scaling back? What should the focus be? In cars, in energy, in space exploration, in battery? What would be your suggestion if you have to choose what to sell? Because basically, one of the things we're saying is this is way too much, right? For any person. But Joanna said, if there is someone who can do it, it's him. That's the opposition. But now, if we have to scale back, where do you think they should scale back?
I think they have to focus on the alternative battery technologies because it's energy.
Okay.
Focus on energy. As an investor, I would think like that. Yeah.
Sarnas?
I would say if I would need to scale back, I mean, I'm for the shooting the moon to keep the enormous market valuation. But if I would have to scale back, so I think that gigafactory and producing of the batteries would have be a good decision. For example, selling the Tesla as the automotive part of the company to any other automotive company and keep the battery production in your hands, meaning then that all other automotive companies would not treat you as the competitor and might then buy the gigafactory produced batteries.
So become a key supplier.
Yeah.
Or a key component. Good.
Yeah.
Anything else would you like to say? Because
so practically, there I see two options, or energy or transportation, because also not from this case, but this Hyperloop and other projects.
Yeah.
Then it's again quite big future and not connected with something small. So
now I have related to this and what you're saying, because he's all over the place, right? Hyperloop, what's the name of this other firm? What's the name of this? Not the stupid firm, the boring company and everything. I have a question for you. What do you think about the guy? Is he like visionary, next Steve Jobs, Superman, I don't know, Iron Man or whatever, or it's just much more like the founder of WeWork? Who would raise a hand for one visionary, the next Steve Jobs? Okay. Who thinks the guy is gonna fall in 3, 2, 1, and maybe in a couple of weeks or months, something's gonna happen? And okay, you know, this is relevant because we talk about these guys, you know, Steve Jobs and these people, and people want to be like them. But not necessarily we find that this is something that not only can be done, but things that help us to understand the way in which people like this manage risk and uncertainty. Yeah, there's a lot of agreement that maybe he's one of the most visionary CEOs in the world today, but also shows a little bit of weaknesses in terms of this thing of looking forward and reasoning back that we spoke a little bit. Because in setting boundaries and priorities, we need to have a certain role of profits on these visions, but we need to think about one thing. This is not the first time that companies like this go into this mode and without making bucks. Remember Amazon in the late 1990s and the beginning of the 2000s? Amazon went for more than a decade without making profits, or without making profits. And the valuation of Amazon was super high compared to what they were doing. Pretty much the same here. Now is one of the most valued companies in the world because something called intangible asset. They were building, right, technology that was valued for other things. And this is something we need to take into account. Now, let's see this. This guy is going into different directions. And this is something we're going to talk a little bit now in terms of how do we manage risk and uncertainty. I will try to see whether I can decrease here the size of this. So let's put it in this way. So guys, there's 4 different things that would sometimes we kind of have the same effect or similar effect. First, right, risk is something that we understand as a combination of 2 things: likelihood and impact. Combination of the 2 allows us to calculate risk. Second, we have uncertainty, in which we know what could happen. Sometimes we don't know what could happen, but we don't have information or historical information on this. So, for instance, there's no way of calculating risk. Question for you. What do you think was the probability for us to have something like the coronavirus pandemic? How likely it was for us to have something like the coronavirus? Write it in the chat if you can. What do you think was the probability of having something like this? 2%, the Servitatus. 55%, Mark. 30 to 40, Simona, 0.0001. 0%, 5%. Now, what do the data say? How many pandemics have we had over the last 4 centuries? Per century.
The data says that it happens every 100 years.
And it happens, data says it happens between 3 to 4 times every 100 years. So the likelihood for us to have one pandemic or in this 21st century was 100%. Now, second, if giving what Roberto is saying, right, we have that data, and also for us already a 1/5 of the century went by without a major pandemic. So how likely was to actually have it? You know, it's very high, the probability, it was pretty high. The thing is that that data is outside of radar, most of our radars, by the way. Mark?
I think it was very likely it would happen where it was the impact of being global, however, was not, that's a first, that it's really a global pandemic.
And actually it's not the first, it's about the third in defining global, right?
Yeah.
But it's true.
But we had the SARS already in the east, southeast, and
yeah,
and we knew it was happening, and it was just a matter of time before it came, but that it suddenly became global. Yeah. Some
now,
knew it.
So you have risk, you have ambiguity when we don't have that data. Then you have, uncertainty. And then you have ambiguity when the level of uncertainty goes way up, then ambiguity is different. It's uncertainty as it works, because we don't know what the states of the world, but also we don't have a clue about the possible interpretations we can get. And complexity, as we were talking and Marius was saying, is when you have so many variables interacting that you have the excessive complexity generates the other three. It's a risk, uncertainty, ambiguity is a byproduct of complexity, and it's something we need to consider. Right now, I'm going to present you with something called the uncertainty funnel that some of you already know because of the last class. If you think about the future, the clarity by which we are able to foresee what's going to happen decreases over time, and the level of uncertainty skyrockets. The good thing, there's bad things and good things. Good things is that the new ideas, new text, new path, new things you can do that are disruptive in the future are being born today. So whatever thing you want to do in terms of innovation for disrupting the future, you need to begin working like now. First thing. Second thing is that if we focus on today and we look at some technologies that today are being disruptive, how old do you think they are? Like IoT. How many, if IoT were a kid, how old he or she could do? And this, okay, and 3D printing.
13.
So check this. They're now, so this is 20, so this I had to update the numbers, but they're pretty old. And the difference between now, now and then is the level of performance that these technologies have and how they have been changing over time. So one of the things is that today's realities at one point were some things like called ghost technology, something that were not very clear, and this is something that we will begin looking at in the next session. That is why I told you, guys, pick one technology so you can present. We already have, I think, 5 teams already have done it. So if you haven't done it yet, please post it on our Plus site, send us an email so we can begin teaming them. So sorry, selecting them up for, I think, next session. Team one, did you select something already?
Yeah, we selected.
Yes. IOB.
Okay, IOB.
B.
Yes. So let's do, for instance, for next session, team one. Can you present? And let's do the opposite with the knowledge keepers. So we have, I forgot, 7 teams, right? Yes. So team 7, are you okay with knowledge keeping for the next session?
I think we have 6 teams.
6, so sorry. Team 6, are you okay with knowledge keeping for the next session? So we go from 1 to 6 on the technology, and from 6 to 1 on the knowledge keeper. So at one point, one team is going to be in trouble. No, the whole idea is not to have that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what we will do is that as uncertainty increases, right, the ability to execute without mistakes decreases. And one of the things we have here is that going into the readings is that as we move along, these four types of or states help us to understand that there are different types of things that can be done in order to solve and fulfill and see. Here in risk, there is a lot of history and probability, and allows us to, use some very well-known techniques to identify and see how things are going. But if you move here back, you can see that. You can see that the availability of tools that we have to dealing with uncertainty and with the potential futures go decreasing. So we have here then we have alternative futures, a lot of tools and decision analysis, real options modeling, game theory. But one of the things we have this is because more forecasts is wrong, even though computers can help us to deal with this, not in very complete ways. Then you have range of futures in which almost all forecasting techniques are wrong. And the only thing we need to do is planning for uncertainty, do some tech forecasting, and latent demand research is basically go into the field and trying to find out what are the things that people need. And finally, the worst of all scenarios, when ambiguity is very high, and when most of the things we have to do are actually wrong. So there's no basis for forecast. I'm going to move here. Most of rapid decision-making is done under uncertainty, and the tools we have not only require different things like path integral formulation, we're going to discuss this later, but also quite powerful computers. And the thing we have with this and innovation has to do with the following, that we facing these environments, we can enhance the likelihood of our teams to perform better under the same level of uncertainty. And this is key for innovation. We need to be able to enhance the likelihood of executing without mistakes with high levels of uncertainty. Part of Musk's secret is based on this. And this is where we will begin our next session. I'm going to give you a couple of tools so you can use in order to achieve this in the best possible way. First, how can we see this in the best possible way? And in order to do that, first thing I will do, teams, is give you this so you can read it in advance. So you can read it in advance, and we could use this. Where is this thing? Okay, here. For next session on Tuesday, we'll make an example. So you could read this. And with the example that we have, we can discuss how we're going to use this, how or in which region, where is this here? I'm going to give you just the map without the example, so you can read it. This is something that you could use. Try to fill it yourself for your company before Tuesday. You will have the instructions, the rationale of this thing. This is something called, the uncertainty map, in which we have different levels of uncertainty, different short, medium, long, very long term, and different key aspects of our business, key assets, activities, revenue sources, competencies, components. And the thing we do, we try to fill it, trying to see what are the sources of uncertainty and how these sources of uncertainty can affect our key assets, our key activities, and so on and so forth. And when you fill it, you end up with something like this. So some things are going to be in red, and those who are in red are things that are telling you there are different sources of uncertainty that are basically affecting key activities, revenue sources, components of your business. And by doing this map, basically you are telling, or the map is going to be telling you, you need to take care of this with urgency. You need to put people in charge of this thing that are willing and able to well perform in environments of high levels of uncertainty and volatility. Who you would like to put in charge of solving this type of issues? Someone, for instance, that is not very comfortable in high-speed changing environment. So we're gonna begin next session talking about this and using an example. And then I'm gonna introduce you to a couple of other, it's gonna be 3 tools next session so we can work around these issues. Is there any question, guys?
Does it have to be about the company we work in, or can it be specific to a project?
It can be specific to a project. Yes, absolutely. You can use this specific to a project or for the whole company. But if you want to focus on a project, that's good.
Okay,
it's totally fine. Now, no questions. That is either for 2 things. Either I didn't understand anything, or, oh, this is super clear and Carlos is becoming a fantastic professor. So good. I don't need to have any question. So I'm gonna go with my final survey from 1 to 10. How many of you did learn 1? Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So, okay, I'm gonna go faster, a little bit faster next time for next session. And it's gonna be a session in which we might lose the case, but gain on the 3 tools that this tool and 2 others that we will see for next session. Okay. Any final comment?
Yes, I just forgot that our score is between 1 and 10, so I am somewhere about 6 or 7.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Andres. Thanks for the clarification. Okay, guys, have a nice weekend. Enjoy your time.
Yeah.
Think about what we're talking here. And, oh, before I forgot, I'm sorry, before I forgot, there is something I need to tell you because we're gonna use this later on. And it's this, it's the survey. I ask you, please, if you can, to go and to here, take a picture of this. I'm gonna send you the slides, or answer this survey. It's gonna take about 40 minutes to answer. It's a long survey, 100 questions, but I think it gives a lot of insightful information about what you think. And I'm gonna send you right away so you can have it and not, but ideally try to answer it before Monday, 7 p.m. so we can process that info and have it for Tuesday morning. Is that fine? Okay, teams. Have a nice weekend and see you on
Thanks,
Tuesday.
Carlos.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Guys.
Carlos, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.